Going live. Huzzah. Let's see if we're live. Yes, we are. Goody. Alright. Let's see. This week we ended up going to see The Family. Basically a Robert De Niro movie. It's been a while. I think since we've seen we haven't even seen a Robert De Niro movie.
No.
But, Chris, go ahead and run down it.
Essentially, The Family is the plot of a former mafia. I don't know if he's a head, but he's a member of the mafia. Giovanni Manzoni, played by Robert De Niro, and his family, Maggie, Belle, and Warren. That's all fake names for them. Played by Michelle Pfeiffer, Diana Argan, and John DeLeo, respectively, who are a witness protection program after snitching on the mob, and the mob wants them dead. They've been moved around quite a lot, though, because they aren't a very cooperative family. They're very quick to anger, and the mafia ways are strong in not just the father, but his wife and his two children as well. So they often get themselves into
Some
very, very, very bad problems right off the bat, and they need to be moved. In this particular time, they are in Normandy in France, and they're trying to live a new normal life. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The family, you can't take the mafia out of the family, and it just so happens that they haven't escaped death quite yet. And the former mafia, or the mafia family that Manzoni was a part of before, is tracking them down to France even as we speak.
Correct. So, Chris, you and I will differ on this movie.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
This was a turd. This was a stinking turkey. I came into this one excited. It starts off slow, but I was like, that's okay. Maybe it just needs to pick up. And it does kind of hit a little bit of a high point in maybe the second half hour or so of the movie. It's only about a 2 hour long movie.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to dip back down a bit, and then the ending is just awful. It's just terrible. They destroy most of the characters in the series or in the movie. They make most of them look like absolute idiots or psychologically unstable people. They make everyone look bad. Nobody comes out looking better for it. It's a weird movie in that it's sort of a action comedy crime movie, but it is very much a black comedy. It is very depressing. It is very dark, and almost all the humor comes at stuff that you really shouldn't be laughing at. And generally that would be something I would enjoy. However, there are quite a lot of points in this movie where you are supposed to laugh at something and they continue to focus on the thing you're not supposed to be laughing, like that you shouldn't be laughing at someone getting hit with a baseball bat, but it's tragedy viewed from across the street, so you're able to laugh at it because that guy's an asshole. But after about like a minute straight of seeing him get hit with a baseball bat, it stops being funny and you're like, this is just kind of sad now.
Well, you're putting out the reasons why I don't like Kick-Ass 2. This movie, for the reasons why you hate this movie is the same, or the reason why you don't like this movie is the same reasons I don't like Kick-Ass 2.
But Kick-Ass 2 wasn't trying to be a comedy in those points.
Well, Kick-Ass 2 was terrible in that it stuck on shit that it doesn't need to. Things didn't go anywhere. The ending is ass.
Ending's great.
No, the ending's ass.
Fantastic ending.
I don't know. I had very small problems with this. Chris and I will agree, with the way the mob finds out where they are is...
It's a contrivance.
Bit redonkulous.
It is one of the
It's
worst examples of contrivance I've seen in film.
Because there's like 15 stages of happenstance for these guys to find them. And they do. And it's weird. I don't like the first about 45 minutes of this movie are boring as piss because nothing happens at all. It's literally just like Robert De Niro narrating about his life and watching wild shenanigans of nothing. Because I don't even think the kids are doing anything at that point.
They're kind of just getting used to life, and you see right off the bat that his son kind of has the political skills to be a member of the mafia.
Yeah, well, this is before they go to school, I'm basically talking about.
Just when they get to the house. That's like the first like 20 minutes or so that are very long.
They're painful.
It's just a very slow start to the movie, and one of the worst parts of the movie, just because I will give credit that this movie seems, for the most part, well made in almost all other portions, especially the conclusion, which, while I hated, plot wise, I thought was shot really well. The start of the movie, though, was weirdly paced, has really weird editing and acting to it, just a lot of strange directorial choices that
I didn't like all the quick cuts either.
a lot of, yeah, that's what I mean.
There's
A lot of quick
because
cuts.
when De Niro can't do something, he thinks about it, and when you cut into his inner thoughts sometimes, and it's just so jarring to jump in and out of those things. The one scene where he's in the office with somebody and you see what he wants to do to this guy, and then it just cuts back. I'm like, I know he's angry. I don't need to see the 12 seconds of him doing something evil, you know.
But that's the humor in the movie.
Nah,
It's funny that he wants to break this guy's hands,
Yeah,
but he won't.
I don't find that funny. I just find that that's what I would be thinking too.
But that's the humor in this movie, is if you don't find it funny, then it's not a comedy to you, because it's not. That's where a lot of the
No,
comedy.
I didn't look at this as a. I thought going into this was going to be a comedy, and I came out not thinking it was a comedy.
It is just because
It's got funny moments in
there's
it,
too
but
many punchlines in it, though.
I didn't find there were many punchlines at all in this whole thing.
Yeah, there is. I mean, the entire bit about the brown water and changing names and fuck and the book. There's a lot of punchlines set up in this movie, a lot of payoff jokes, a lot of brick jokes. And there's some that are legitimately funny. It is just one of those things that I found that it hangs on certain scenes for too long, that I really can't describe in detail without getting into spoilers. But just moments where you're like, this would be funny if you cut about 15 seconds earlier. Because after I've gotten my laugh out, now I'm just sitting here awkwardly staring at this guy getting beaten to death.
I think you're turning into me and just being nitpicky, Mr. Nitpicky about.
I don't think I'm nitpicking on this movie. I really don't.
I do. I can't see where you're nitpicking about this, or picking at this thing. I nothing really hung on. Like I'm saying, my problem with this movie was the first, as you were saying, 20 minutes or so of basically them just getting to the house, and it's just incredibly slow. After that, I had really no problems. There are a couple issues that I will point out, but I can't point them out in this part of the review just because there's major spoilers. But outside of those few points, I liked the whole the setup that he's basically writing his memoirs. I think everybody put in a decent performance. They did a good job of showing that the family's a tight family, that they give a shit, they care for each other, and they always watch out for each other and shit like that. At the very end, you feel for the daughter.
I really wish she'd get herself to a mental hospital, because that's probably where she'll have to spend the rest of her life.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
she's a bit unhinged.
I like I said, I really can't find this movie isn't fantastic. I'll say that it's not great. But it's not a bad movie at the same time. It's just very, very average for me. I mean, there were points that I laughed. I thought some points were funny. I mean, like I said, for some reason I don't think of it as a comedy. Just because fucking. I thought it was more serious in some points than it was others. But yeah, I don't know. I flat out give this movie a C.
I didn't like this movie. It started off fine, but as it continued to go on, it just got worse and worse after that initial spike. The contrivance that we're referring to is sort of the start of it, but the conclusion in and of itself was just enough for me to really not like this movie. It was sort of similar to R.A.P.D. in that it didn't do what it tried to do, but unlike R.I.P.D., this movie was like offensively bad to me at certain points. That's why I give this movie.
The R.I.P.D. You think R.I.P.D. is better than this because
yes, I do.
Fuck you.
Yes, I do. This movie
Fuck
gets,
you.
this
R.I.P.D. is
this
a
movie
pile
gets-
of ass, Chris.
This movie gets a solid D for me. It's not worth your time.
Fuck you. Don't listen to Chris. Chris is an idiot right now. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Something happened to Chris, and somebody replaced him with somebody else. This movie is nowhere near as bad as fucking R.I.P.D. R.I.P.D. was fucking abysmal. The way it was shot, terrible. The CGI, terrible.
It's different.
Acting,
Yeah.
terrible.
Acting's fine in R.I.P.D. There's nothing
No.
wrong with the acting in R.I.P.D.
No.
We're not on R.I.P.D. though. I don't know if you saw it's Exposition Dump the Family.
Yeah, I know, but you brought up R.I.P.D. and a movie that doesn't need that doesn't deserve to be in the company of R.I.P.D.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me just get my fucking Academy Award over here, and I'll just present it to the family right now. For as much as you're defending it.
I'm defending it because you're putting it in a category it shouldn't
Did you
be
fucking
in.
work on it?
No, but you know
Are you
what?
in the credits somewhere?
You know what? I enjoyed this fucking movie, and I sat through R.I.P.D. and it was ass. See, now this is what happens when we get into a movie where we're both on the different sides for. We're just gonna yell at each other for the next half hour. This movie isn't bad, guys. I wouldn't recommend watching in the theater. Just rent the damn thing. You might get you'll probably get some enjoyment out of it. It's got decent acting. Some good comic moments. The ending can be a little bit bullshit, but then again, every movie I think we've touched this summer has a bullshit ending. But then again, you know, that's how fucking movies are. Just trust me. Chris is wrong on this one.
I'm not.
It's not great. It's better than a D. Go fuck yourself.
I'm into it with spoilers. How about that?
Yeah. All right, fine. All right, everybody. I don't think anybody cares, but we're going on to spoilers. Turn off the stream if you don't want to hear anything, and get the fuck out. But now it's time to spoil the shit out of this. Awesome. You know what? This movie's an A now. This movie is the best movie I've seen this summer.
I wouldn't be surprised with how fucking tight you got your lips
Well,
wrapped around its cock in the face right now.
I am defending it so bad because of how awful you think it is.
It's just not a good movie.
I can agree on certain things. Hold on. By the way, spoiler time. If we're gonna be going through spoilers, stop listening if you don't want to hear 'em. But when it comes to certain things that you're gonna say are bad, I will 100% wholeheartedly agree with you. But those things do not destroy the movie for me.
Okay.
That's it.
Before we get into the big things, I want to say the things that I liked about this movie, and which is why it made it so bad to me at the end, because they kind of destroy a lot of those things. The family, for the most part, are pretty good. Pretty much everyone but the dad is actually really good. And that's not a fault on Robert De Niro. His character is just really weirdly written in this movie to be kind of
He's a bit bland.
and not even really involved in the plot so much. Michelle Pfeiffer as the mom, fantastic. The son, Leo D'Angelo, as Warren, he's good. Diana Argon as Belle, you know, she fulfills most of what she's going for. Not the most fantastic character, but not
But she's
particularly
hot
bad
as fuck,
either.
so who gives a shit?
Yeah, she's attractive, so Randy's ready to also
Yep.
give her an Academy Award.
She gets the Boner Award for this movie.
We have those now, I guess.
God, I hope
The-
she's legal.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure she is.
She's probably like 25.
Okay, thank God, because she plays a air quote 17-year-old in this movie
Yeah.
who has a sex scene.
Yeah, and actually, like, one they hang on for a little bit too. Like, there's no nudity in this one, which is already
Weird,
something
'cause it's
R.I.P.D.
R.
had over this.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say anything. No.
There's no nudity in R.I.P.D. There's a girl in her underwear, and that's it.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking Two Guns.
Yeah, take that.
Yeah, we saw
piece
one
of
movie
shit.
this year that had tits in it.
No, we saw two. Riddick had boobs in it too.
All right, that's unfortunate.
See,
Anyway,
this is why you can't take Chris's word for anything, because he doesn't remember shit. He just saw this movie. I guarantee he forgot already half of it, and doesn't know what he's talking about anymore.
So the reason I like Belle as a character in this movie is because she kicks ass. That's sort of her thing. Everyone's sort of taken an aspect of the mafia character archetype.
She's like the enforcer of the family.
Yeah. She's
The
quick
son
to
is
action.
the son is like the bankroller, the guy who's the schemer. He's the one, he goes into school and he takes over the school basically, taking over like the cigarette trade and basically getting all these people to work for him and do things for him. So yeah, I could see that. That's why when I'll make my point again. But during pre-call I brought this up. But go ahead.
Uh, so I actually like her a lot because she kicks a lot of ass at the start of the movie. She has this cool little speech. She basically gets picked up by these four guys on her way home, and she asks for a ride home. They take her out to this park, and it's clear all they want is just to have sex with her. And one dude even goes up and like starts pulling the strap on her dress down. You know, as he pulls it down, he's like, "Oops!" She just walks over to the car, takes out a tennis racket, and just starts beating the shit out of him.
Beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, and then after she's done, she makes this big speech about how you shouldn't treat women this way. If you're expecting to do this, you're going to be in for a rough time. It's a lot cooler than what I'm saying, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
It's a really good scene. It's a really good scene.
Yeah, it goes on a little too long of her beating him with the tennis racket.
See, that's okay. That's where I was going to get into a little bit because you have the same. You thought it went on too long there too with the beating of the tennis racket because I didn't have a problem with how long that went on, and that's probably why I don't have a problem with how long the.
Yeah, it's like what the trailer shows would have been perfect for the amount of time they should have showed it in the actual movie. They should have just bam, couple times over the head, kicking the deck once or twice on the ground, and then you're done. Because by hanging on too long, they make her look a little sadistic. It doesn't come off fully there, but it comes off a bit more in a later scene where they do the same sort of thing. But anyway, she looks really cool there. She is shown later on to be doing the same thing to someone who stole her pencil case. She just beats the shit out of her in the bathroom, and they make her look like a badass. But then her character kind of just flops on a dime there. And she goes from being this tough chick to being like a high school teenage girl
who falls in love with the teacher.
Falls in love, a very unstable kind of love too at first. Like she's very big into this idea of protecting her virginity, to the point where
she says, "I will pick.
I want to save it for the man who I marry. I'm going to pick the time and the place, everything like that." Very much an innocent sort of.
She didn't say when she was married. She says Mr. Right.
Yeah,
she never said it right.
Basically, the one guy for me.
Yeah,
she's not acknowledging she's going to give it up for anyone but the one person.
Yeah, and she chose this math teacher, well, soon to be math teacher,
solely based on looks. For what we can tell, this is based off of a book, Manny Vala, I believe it was. So maybe they go in the book a little bit more into this teacher, but in the movie, we don't ever really see anything on their relationship. The only reason we would think that Belle was attracted to him is based on the fact that he is an attractive young French guy.
With round glasses.
Yes.
With Harry Potter glasses.
Yeah, he has Harry Potter glasses. So you kind of get a little bit of a switch there, but it's fine. You know, they want to focus on the love, and hey, you get to see her more dresses, whatever. The point in the movie then comes up after she has sex with him. She's talking to him on the phone after he takes his test, and she's like, "Oh, that's great. You're planning to get an apartment. Well, make sure it has a bath and a bed." And he's like, "I don't know if I can afford that." And she's kind of hinting at the idea that she'll go in to live with him. And then when he turns her down, you know, she's like,
she's a bit psychotic at that point. It feels
scarred
like
my
a little bit.
heart.
Yeah.
You destroyed my love. It was the only pure thing I have, and you ruined it. And if her reaction to that would have been to fucking go over to Paris and kick his ass, that'd been great.
Yep,
but
that would make sense. That would make sense.
Her reaction in the movie is to go try and kill herself.
Exactly, which makes
to the
no
point
sense
where
for the character.
She's on top of the building, looking down, and she's on the phone. And as she's looking down, she sees the hitman coming for her family after they kill everyone in the police station. And that's when the joke comes in. She's about to go kill herself, but she sees the people get killed in the police station, and she's still on the phone with her guy. And she's like, "I'll call you back," and then hangs up really quickly, which is a complete contrast to the way their conversation was going prior, which was...
Well, if you see the fucking hitman who was out to kill your family, I think that would...
No, but it's the way it's done in the movie. It's like a quick, "I'll be calling you right back," because she's about to hang up. Before she sees them do that, she's like, "I'm going to be with you."
Yes, I know. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. 100%. I get what you're saying, how you're trying to say it. But the problem with it that I'm saying is that the minute she sees them... something changed. Your mentality changes, and regardless of how you want to take the tone of how she says the words, "I'll call you right. I'll call you back." To me, are no consequence here. It's just that her mentality changed. She went from being in pain and in sorrow to immediately, "I need to act on this, or my family is going to die."
And you don't think that the juxtaposition between the two tones creates any sort of sense of humor?
No.
You don't think it was intended to create a sense of humor?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Fair enough.
No, I don't think that is. It's to me, it's just tonal shift. That's it. What else can I throw in your face, Chris? No, or explain away. But no, I agree. She shouldn't be on that building in the first place. She should have went over to Paris to kick his ass, because it doesn't make any sense for her character to be up there with how they set her up. You know, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe that. That's I will give you that doesn't make any sense. But everything on the rooftop, even though that doesn't make sense, but the shift did or was fine for me. It's like I don't think they lingered on any of those scenes that you brought up earlier too long. Just because I'm used to Family Guy, I guess. If they're trying to make it a joke, which I don't think they were.
I mean, it's a joke in that it's supposed to be a take on a modern family, but it's a mafia family, so they all have traits of the mafia in them. So,
Yeah.
you know, normally in this situation, maybe you'd expect the father to be, sort of the brute of the family, but everyone is like this. So it's amusing in the fact that they all do things very counter to it, and that's what I was excited about going into this movie. I thought it was going to be a very different sort of style of movie.
Yeah, I thought it would just be the family. This is a movie that's going to be a comedy where it's a family trying to adjust to being actual normal people, but they just can't do it. You know?
Yes.
That's what I thought it was going in, but it's not. It's basically it has a little bit of that, but it's mainly we're hiding from the mafia, and here they come. We need to deal with it.
Exactly.
But with the whole you brought up that one's the hitman, one's the extortionist, or not hitman, but enforcer. The mom's a little bit like an enforcer also.
The mom is basically the unhinged one. She blows up a building in her first thing. She's the one to take any personal insult very harshly.
She's the first one to go a little bit off the hinge. And that's why at the end of the movie, Robert De Niro's character does basically nothing at the end of the movie. It's the family that does it, and it's to me you basically watch this at the beginning they look like a normal everyday family, except he gets the part where he's burying that one body. But let's forget that even happened.
Which they don't really explain.
Yes, they do.
Who is he?
That's the not plumber. They explain it twice. He's the guy's missing. What's his name?
I know we see his family, and it was like their neighbor or something from their last place.
He was there for.
I don't recall why they killed him.
It had something to do with an interaction with his wife,
and why he brought him all the way over.
Because he had to bury him
to do it.
He had to bury. You wouldn't bury that body in the same town that you got him from.
I mean, that would just be ridiculous.
It would. Because that's the first place they look. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they explain him in two different scenes. One with Tommy Lee Jones and Robert De Niro's character, and then they explain it again with the hitman and the family, the murder victim's family. But he basically kills him because the guy was rude to his wife or something like that. Or I believe that's around the lines, or he did something against his
It sounds
wife.
like that would be what it is, based on how he reacts to the plumber.
Yeah. So, but basically, you watch this whole movie of it seems like a normal family in the beginning just become like the mafia. They become their own little mafia instead of a big organized thing. It's this tight knit group of really organized psychotic kids and mother and father. Out of all of them, the father looks to be the most normal. Because we see him suppress his urge to beat the shit out of at least 4 people. I think.
Kind of counters that when he drags a guy around town by car.
I know, but that was awesome.
Yeah, he'd be dead.
I don't know. See, I like that stuff. I like that scene. He finds out one of the water treatment plant guys. For the reason why his water's brown. It's not just his house. I'm assuming it's probably all of theirs because that's all coming from one pump. And he wants to stop this from happening. So he goes to the water treatment plant. They basically tell him sewage is the problem. Water treatment plant. says sewage is the problem. Then at
He,
sewage,
he goes to the mayor's office. Mayor's office says the sewer plant is the reason for it. He goes to the mayor or to the sewage plant. And they tell him that's the fertilizer company who's putting
Yep.
chemicals into the water.
and along the lines, he drags one of the guys to get this information behind his car because the guy he finds out the guy likes motorcycle or rides a motorcycle, so he puts the motorcycle in the back seat of his what's it called, a hatchback, and then drags the guy behind his car, cuts him loose, and pulls the motorcycle out and drops it on the ground, and basically says, who is it, blah, 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 what pump is it? Yeah, it was the fertilizer guy. What pump's doing it and stuff like that, and he just says, he's like, please, no, I got a family, and he says, like, and if you ever say anything, you won't ever see them again, or something like that. I have, like, that was fine. Didn't have a problem with that.
It was all another one of those scenes where you're just like, this guy's kind of a dickhead, kind of a monster.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he's a mob boss. He's kind of an asshole and a monster, of course. He didn't become the guy in power that he used to be until without, just like licking lollipops and
yeah, as I said,
free
it's a
money.
black comedy, so there's a lot of the humor is derived from very dramatic or heinous situations.
But the ending. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead and bitch about the ending because I can agree with you on this.
But okay, first and foremost, I have to get across the biggest contrivance of this.
That's
movie.
what I meant.
And that
Yeah.
there's nothing more frustrating in movies where to make the plot happen, a whole bunch of very coincidental things have to happen in a row. And this is maybe one of the most egregious examples of that.
It's the MacGuffin.
This is
newspaper.
worse than a MacGuffin. This is worse than a MacGuffin. Basically,
the newspaper MacGuffin.
son is asked by his school to write an article on English wordplay for their newspaper. And he forgets to do it until the last minute, and he's trying to remember what it is. And he has a flashback to when he was a kid listening to his father talk to the guy who got him to the family
Fat Tony.
about some play they saw. And it's if it's good enough for you, then it's good enough. And I guess good enough is a reference to somebody, maybe someone within the family. I don't really understand, but basically puts that quote in the paper as a English wordplay example. The newspaper is then printed, and a copy of it goes to this one guy whose son's poem is printed in the paper. The paper is given to him. He's going to America overseas for business, so he takes the paper along with him. He leaves the paper on the airplane. The paper is then picked up by the cleanup crew. They put it in the trash. It is then taken out with the recycling. However, it is not put in with a bundle. It is left on top of a pile, so then it's dropped off at the trash plant where a guy is reading porno and caught by his supervisor and told to get back to work. So the guy wraps up his porno in that paper. He then takes it inside, and after he's done, he takes the paper off the porno. This guy happens to also then work with somebody who knows someone at the jail where the father of the former family is put in. That guy then wraps up a wine bottle in the paper, takes that wine bottle into the former head of the family. The head of the family then opens it, drinks some of the wine, and then he reads through because he's studying 5 languages while inside prison. He sees that one little thing of wordplay, and he's like, boom, that's where the family is, they're in Normandy. Because otherwise, they had no idea.
Correction, it's Irish coffee.
It's Irish coffee then. So they figure out where they are based off of a high school newspaper traveling across the country.
Across the lake.
world, and some of the most bizarre situations. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I 100,000% agree. I thought Tony Shalhoub would have found him, but no, it's this weird.
Because the trail goes cold after he goes looking for him. He finds the last neighbors they had, and then he ends up killing them all because they asked too many questions. And at that point, they're like, well, shit, we're out of clues. No real clue on what they were really going to try to do. But because they find this, like, oh, just fucking go to Normandy.
I don't think that he killed them because they asked too many questions. I think he thought that was his team. That's why, or that was the family, because that's why he cut off the finger to get an ID.
No, not the first one. The family.
Oh, the family of the gardener or whatever that he killed.
Vardner or whatever.
Yeah,
the ones he goes to. That yeah. So there is that. The end of the movie, though, is another kind of set of contrivances too. It just so happens that on the same date that the mafia then comes to Normandy to kill them is also the same date that Giovanni is going to be doing a debate club for American film. It's the same night Maggie goes over. Basically, every character has to get their closure in one night. So Maggie goes to the church and finds that they're yelling at her for being a heathen after she goes to confession. It's the same night Warren decides that he can't be in school anymore because he's gotten in trouble too much and he's going to run away to a different country and start a mafia family there. It's the same night that Belle decides she wants to go kill herself because her boyfriend broke up with her.
That's a little nitpicky.
So a lot of the things are happening all there at once.
That's a little nitpicky, Chris.
Yeah, and
I can forgive that one.
The mafia family, they come in, they kill everyone in the police station. They kill everyone in the they kill the one dude.
Yeah, the one dude. Yeah, the one guy.
At the same time, this is another little coincidence. Earlier in the day, Giovanni had put a bomb at one of the turbines that explodes at midnight to go and hopefully get the water that is in their house no longer brown. That goes off, which then sets them to be like, all right, we gotta go in now. Some people come out to see what was going on. All those people get killed. At the time of this going on, since both Belle and Warren were out basically trying to leave the city in one corporeal form and one not so corporeal, the only one at the house now is Giovanni. A guy launches a bazooka, a rocket launcher, at the house, blows it up, but Giovanni's fine. His house exploded on top of him, but he's fine. Mm-hmm. Dog's fine.
Well, I want to know... No, the dog's fine. I want to know where he went, because we don't see where he goes.
He doesn't do anything. Like, it's not.
He's looking at the phone.
There's nothing to note that he's like something's up.
Mm-hmm. So I want to know, because he ends up in the back lawn, and I want to know where he went. Like there's a scene in there. I know there is. Where he goes in the back room or like in the kitchen to make coffee or something like that instead, or he's going towards the phone.
He's checking his water to make sure it's not brown anymore.
Yeah, there's a missing scene to where somehow where he jumps from being
why
in the
didn't
house.
Take the dog with him, I don't understand. But
yeah, and why he's back in the in the back lawn and there's a difference. Yeah, that cut doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, the mob guys go in there and they fucking. I love the conversation about shooting the dog that they have. Sorry,
go ahead.
Nah, they bicker about a little bit about between each other about shooting this dog, and they decide to, and well, it doesn't happen. Don't worry, the dog stays alive. Spoiler alert.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but I can't. It's one of the two guys who are working with Tommy Lee Jones in oh wait, hold on, maybe it's this. Did I check him out? Yes, okay. So there's two guys who are working with Tommy Lee Jones, who's in this movie. Tommy Lee Jones plays Robert Stansfield, who works for basically the FBI.
He's his caretaker.
He's the witness protection head there, and there are two guys who work underneath him who basically watch the family all day. And they make sure that Robert De Niro doesn't go anywhere. One of them is played by Dominic Lombardozzi.
The bald one?
Yes, as many of you might know, also played Herc in The Wire. And I'm so happy he managed to get into this movie to play another goober cop.
I like that. I liked him though. Out of the two cops, I liked him the most because he was the most personable.
I'm gonna hate him just because I remember Herc from The Wire, and I'm still fucking pissed you didn't fucking help out Bubbles, you fat sack of shit.
He was the most personable person there. He was so nice, and he was always looking to help. He
Good
wasn't.
Actor, Can't lift his fucking finger to save anybody.
He lifted his finger to try and save the one wife. So
they get killed. They get killed because they open the door. No,
they don't even get to open the door yet. He
opens the door, and that's when the mob realizes that they're there, and they.
No, he shoots him through the door.
Yeah, so he gets them killed, and then I guess it's I can't remember the guy's name. I don't know. He may not have had a name. He comes in and he's gonna kill.
Fat one. That's Fat somebody. I forgot his. Yeah.
Fat Willie.
Yeah, that's Fat Willie.
So he goes in to kill Maggie, and he's like, "Before I do this, I have to dirty you, as in I have to rape you before I kill you." Which doesn't. Why? Just kill her. I don't even think it's a mob thing. It doesn't even sound like a mob thing.
I don't know.
It made no sense. It felt like a need to just put extra drama into the scene, or to maybe make sense of how the fuck Robert De Niro was supposed to get there when the You could just easily shoot her in the head once she's dead. But yeah, basically, it takes him so fucking long to pull his goddamn dick out that Robert De Niro comes up behind him with a belt, starts choking him out, and then eventually Maggie kills him with a knife. But this is another point of Maggie's complete and total mind breaking that should happen in these scenes where she's told by the church that she deeply follows that she's a heathen monster, should never enter their doors again, and then almost gets raped, has to kill a man. A lot of things happen to Maggie that probably going to be very difficult for her to overcome in the next few months. But it's all okay because they have to get a new name, so it's wacky. It's a wacky ending where nobody's happy except for Robert De Niro,
I think they're fine, Chris.
He gets everyone to cheer at him. He gets everyone to applaud his noble story. It's so stupid.
The ending, as far as that they just literally end on the family kills everybody because the daughter shoots a guy, the son shoots one guy, then shotguns another one in the head, or shotguns another one. And then Tony Shalhoub's character's chasing, what's her name again? Belle, down the street, and Tommy Lee Jones hits him with the car and kills him. And stuff like that's basically how it ends. And then they're just driving off because they have to go someplace else. And those two lines that Chris said, we have to get a new name and shit like that. And also he has to rewrite his memoirs because they blew him up. The ending, which the ending flies by. Like, it feels like when it just starts that it's already over. And I can agree that it's a bit bad. I liked everything that happened in the ending up to the last scene in the car. I liked the fucking daughter taking the guy out. I liked the kid, doing his thing. I liked at the end when Tommy Lee hits Tony with the car, and she just kind of drops her knees and just screams. I like it. I thought it was done extremely well, but the last bit with the car, that last 30-second shot, was what can kill it for some people. But like I said, I have no real issue with it. I mean, I can agree with it, but it's not really affecting my overall view of this movie. But I will 100%, 1,000 billion % agree with you that whole, I'm going to kill myself because my boyfriend doesn't, or my, it wasn't her boyfriend at the time, but her love interest didn't love her back. That was a bit, dumb.
Yeah.
But, like I said, overall, I don't...
I guess the one other thing that we haven't brought up yet is sort of it's not even really the B story, because there is no A story to this movie per se, of Robert De Niro's character, who is writing these memoirs. He is actually, it was sort of made clear in the trailer that he was writing this, or maybe I saw it somewhere that he was writing the memoirs of,
I thought,
a way to reveal. Basically, this was what he was in witness protection to do, was to get this memoir out or something like that.
That's what I thought. I thought the mob was after him because of the book.
Yeah, it's not. They're not after him for the book. The book is something he's writing to give himself closure and to kind of
tell the real
a
story.
Catharsis to what he's done. And he's trying to get across, he's like, look, I've done a lot of horrible things, but I'd like to think I'm not a bad guy. And that in and of itself would make for a fine movie of a former mafia member who has now realized what he's done. He's trying to repent. He's trying to make the world not as miserable as he made it when he was a member of the mob doing killings and things like that. Because we do show him actions that he did when he was a member of the mob, and a lot of them were done in cold blood. Now, there's some instances where he's like, I made the city a safer place, and my neighborhood was, a place you never get robbed on.
Yeah, there was no crime in my neighborhood.
I was fine. I was friendly with the cops, or something along those lines. And he's trying to kind of paint himself out to be like a little bit of a hero. But ultimately, this is a character who shouldn't be liked. You shouldn't want to cheer for a guy who's a member of organized crime as though he's a hero and as though there's something proud within that. And he goes to this movie night. It was originally supposed to be that Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin movie about a novelist who's trying to finish his novel, and that doesn't arrive. So instead, they watch Goodfellas,
which I laughed at because I knew it was coming. I was like,
I thought it was gonna be Godfather. I knew
so
it was
did
gonna
I.
be
So did I. I leaned over to my buddy. I go, it's gonna be Godfather. Watch. And then it goes Goodfellas. I'm like, damn it! That was my. I had a 50-50%. I had a 50-50 shot at this, and I lost it. Damn it! And the person in front of me actually looked back at me and just went, I thought it was Godfather 2. Not Godfather 2, but Godfather also.
So they invite him up on stage then to debate it because he's from America, and they're like, "Oh, we want to hear."
Well, he's
your,
from New York, and that's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, "We want to hear your opinion as a New Yorker and American who is obviously into art and culture." So they bring him up, and because he can't reveal he's part of the mob, he refers to basically what he's trying to get across. He's burying his soul, but he's burying it from a third person perspective.
He's replaying it like it's stuff he's seen when he was growing up, but it's the actual stuff he's done.
Yeah, he's explained how he was beaten as a child and how he killed someone at a very young age with a 2x4, and that sort of made him into the person he is. And Tommy Lee Jones is just watching this game infuriated because he's basically blowing his whole cover. But the crowd loves it.
I love Tommy Lee Jones in this movie.
He's such a human. I want to, of all the gifs in the world, I want the gif of everyone clapping and just Tommy Lee Jones.
He's just sitting there angry as pissed.
Face, frown. He's just so pissed with things. If anything from this movie, it's worth it for that one cut alone. But everyone is cheering. They're applauding him, and they're basically giving him the satisfaction he deserves. He literally gets applauded for everything he's done in his life to this point. It's so surreal. You're like, really? People are like, we're not going to.
I don't think they're applauding
the action he's done in his life. Awful.
Hold on. I don't think they're applauding the actions that he's done. I think they're applauding.
They're applauding the story.
The ability of him to interpret the things he's quote unquote saw, because they can't believe that he done these things. So
They're not applauding because they're like, he did these things, but they're applauding the story of a person. They're giving satisfaction to a life that turned to crime, and excuse it away as different things.
No, I don't think so, because I don't think that's what the whole
Then why
debate
are they
was
applauding?
about. They're applauding because of his insight and intellect on the subject of the movie, that he's able to clearly put up a debate about this movie.
Well, there's no debate because they don't have anyone else up there. It's just
Yeah, they do. It's him. It's the debate between him and the guy that's presenting the movie.
Because the guy's not saying anything. The only times we cut it's just Robert De Niro talking.
I know, but we never see him asking the questions. But that's what the whole thing is about. The whole debate thing was set up is that it's basically counterpoint, or a question and answer kind of a setup, and they're not applauding the things that he's done or the things that this person did. They're applauding his insight and ability to project what happened.
Yeah, they're applauding basically what he's saying up there, and what he's basically saying is, here's this person, here are the things that happened to him, and he became a mobster.
No, I don't think he's even saying that. I think he's saying these
are
the things
exactly
I saw.
What they're saying. That's the only things we ever
he's
hear
not
him say.
Yeah, I know, but we got to look at the whole overall thing.
I have to look at things that don't exist and then be like, well, that was obviously different from what I expected.
Because he's not talking. He doesn't talk about everything that happened to him.
He's the only thing we hear from the actual speech itself is a guy who sat in a corner, who was beaten by his dad, and then he first killed somebody when he was a child with a 2x4. And this comes in a relation to, did you ever meet anybody who was in the mafia in New York, and what was it like to live in that situation? So from that, we can extrapolate that he probably is telling a story of himself, like he's done in memoirs, of trying to explain who he is and that he's not as bad of a guy as what you'd want to think.
Okay, fine. If we want to go off of that, but I still don't. I still can't agree with what you believe they're applauding for.
Well, they're applauding the story, which is what he wants. He gets satisfaction from the book, and people don't think he's as bad of a guy as they want. It's just sort of strange.
Nah, I disagree.
All right.
I don't think they're applauding the actions. I think they're applauding his storytelling of the things he saw and stuff like that. Because they can't possibly believe that's the same person. So that's the sole reason why I can't believe they're applauding him, because they can't believe, or they can't have that in their mind that he's the one who's done them. He's recounting it to them. He's recounting things that he saw while growing up in New York. So, yeah, whatever. We're just gonna sit there and just bitch at each other because we both don't agree. Well, I don't know. We differ on everything when it comes to this movie, I guess, except for maybe 2 points: the ending and that one scene. Or we agree. I mean, but I don't know. I give this movie a C. Chris is giving it a D. Next week we have Prisoners, which is a movie with, oh God, the guy who plays Wolverine.
Hugh
Jackman and
Jake Gyllenhaal, Dwight Howard.
And it's about a movie about a kidnapped daughter, apparently. So,
Two of them, two girls.
Oh yeah, two daughters.
Two girls who have been kidnapped. I think it has some relation to the Zodiac Killer, but I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, that would be different. Okay, but yeah, everybody, if you want to watch this movie, watch it with a grain of salt. You'll definitely get two varying opinions on this one, probably. But other than that, Chris, any final note?
No, not particularly.
Nothing else? Okay. All right. I don't know if we're going to do anything after this or not. Keep up to date with my Twitter, and I'll let you guys know on there. But for right now, if we're not on in 15 minutes or 10 minutes, then expect nothing to be back, or nothing on. Because the LCS is going on right now, and I know we both want to watch it a little bit. So, everybody, you have a great night, and we will see you hopefully, probably, maybe soon, if not next Friday. Good night, everybody.
I've gotten my laugh out. Now I'm just sitting here awkwardly staring at, this guy getting beaten to death.
I think you're turning into me and just being nitpicky, Mr. Nitpicky about.
I don't think I'm nitpicking on this movie. I really don't.
I do. I can't see where you're nitpicking about this, or picking at this thing. I nothing really hung on. Like I'm saying, my problem with this movie was the first, as you were saying, 20 minutes or so. Of basically them just getting to the house, and it's just incredibly slow. After that, I had really no problems. There are a couple issues that I will point out, but I can't point them out in this part of the review just because there's major spoilers. But outside of those few points, I like the whole the setup that he's basically writing his memoirs. I think everybody put in a decent performance. They did a good job of showing that the family's a tight family, that they give a shit, they care for each other, and they always watch out for each other and shit like that. At the very end, you feel for the daughter.
I really wish she'd get herself to a mental hospital, because that's probably where she'll have to spend the rest of her life.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
She's a bit unhinged.
I like I said, I really can't find. This movie isn't fantastic. I'll say that it's not great. But it's not a bad movie at the same time. It's just very, very average for me. Going live. Huzzah! Let's see if we're live. Yes, we are. Goody. All right. Let's see. This week we ended up going to see The Family. Basically a Robert De Niro movie. It's been a while. I think since we haven't even seen a Robert De Niro movie.
Nope.
But, Chris, go ahead and run down it.
Essentially, The Family is the plot of a former mafia. I don't know if he's a head, but he's a member of the mafia. Giovanni Manzoni, played by Robert De Niro, and his family, Maggie, Belle, and Warren. That's all fake names for them. Played by Michelle Pfeiffer, Diana Argan, and John DeLeo, respectively, who are a witness protection program after snitching on the mob, and the mob wants them dead. They've been moved around quite a lot, though, because they aren't a very cooperative family. They're very quick to anger, and the mafia ways are strong in not just the father, but his wife and his two children as well. So they often get themselves into very, very, very bad problems right off the bat, and they need to be moved. In this particular time, they are in Normandy in France, and they're trying to live a new normal life. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The family, you can't take the mafia out of the family, and it just so happens that they haven't escaped death quite yet. and the former mafia or the mafia family that Manzoni was a part of before is tracking him down to France even as we speak.
Correct. So, Chris, you and I will differ on this movie.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
This was a turd. This was a stinking turkey. I came into this one excited. It starts off slow, but I was like, that's okay. Maybe it just needs to pick up. And it does kind of hit a little bit of a high point in like maybe like the second half hour or so of the movie. It's only about a 2 hour long movie.
Hmm.
It starts to dip back down a bit, and then the ending is just awful. It's just terrible. They destroy most of the characters in the series or in the movie. They make most of them look like absolute idiots or psychologically unstable people. They make everyone look bad. Um, Nobody comes out looking better for it. It's a weird movie in that it's sort of a action comedy crime movie, but it is very much a black comedy. It is very depressing. It is very dark, and almost all the humor comes at stuff that you really shouldn't be laughing at. And generally, that would be something I would enjoy. However, there are quite a lot of points in this movie where you are supposed to laugh at something and they continue to focus on the thing you're not supposed to be laughing like that you shouldn't be laughing at someone getting hit with a baseball bat, but it's tragedy viewed from across the street, so you're able to laugh at it because that guy's an asshole. But after about like a minute straight of seeing him get hit with a baseball bat, it stops being funny and you're like, this is just kind of sad now.
Well, not you're putting out the reasons that why I don't like Kick-Ass 2. This movie, for the reasons why you hate this movie is the same, or the reason why you don't like this movie is the same reasons I.
Other portions, especially the conclusion, which while I hated, plot wise, I thought was shot really well. The start of the movie, though, is weirdly paced, has really weird editing and acting to it, just a lot of strange directorial choices that.
I didn't like all the quick cuts either.
A lot of, yeah, that's what I mean.
There's
A lot of quick
because
cuts.
when De Niro can't do something, he thinks about it, and when you cut into his inner thoughts sometimes, and it's just so jarring to jump in and out of those things. The one scene where he's in the office with somebody and you see what he wants to do to this guy, and then it just cuts back. I'm like, I know he's angry. I don't need to see the 12 seconds of him doing something evil, you know.
But that's the humor in the movie.
Nah,
It's funny that he wants to break this guy's hands,
Yeah,
but he won't.
I don't find that funny. I just find that that's what I would be thinking too.
But that's the humor in this movie is if you don't find it funny, then it's not a comedy to you because it's not. That's where a lot of the
No,
comedy.
I didn't look at this as a. I thought going into this was going to be a comedy, and I came out not thinking it was a comedy.
It is just because
It's got funny moments in
there's
it,
too
but
many punchlines in it, though.
I didn't find there were many punchlines at all in this whole thing.
Yeah, there is. I mean, the entire bit about the brown water and changing names and fuck and the book. There's a lot of punchlines set up in this movie. A lot of payoff jokes. A lot of brick jokes. And there's some that are legitimately funny. It is just one of those things that I found that it hangs on certain scenes for too long. That I really can't describe in detail without getting into spoilers, but just moments where you're like, this would be funny if you cut about 15 seconds earlier. Because after,
I don't like Kick-Ass 2.
but Kick-Ass 2 wasn't trying to be a comedy in those points.
Well, Kick-Ass 2 was terrible in that it stuck on shit that it doesn't need to. Things didn't go anywhere. The ending is ass.
Ending's great.
No, the ending's ass.
Fantastic ending.
I don't know. I had very small problems with this. Chris and I will agree, with the way the mob finds out where they are is
It's a contrivance.
bit redonkulous.
It is one of the
It's the
worst
most-
examples of contrivance I've seen in film.
Because there's like 15 stages of happenstance that for these guys to find them, and they do, and it's weird. I don't like the first about 45 minutes of this movie are boring as piss because nothing happens at all. It's literally just like Robert De Niro narrating about his life and watching wild shenanigans of nothing. Because I don't even think the kids are doing anything at that point.
they're kind of just getting used to life, and yeah, you see right
This
off the
is
bat that his son kind of has the political skills to be a member of the mafia.
Yeah, well, this is before they go to school. I'm basically talking about.
Just when they get to the house. That's like the first like 20 minutes or so that are very long.
They're painful.
It's just a very slow start to the movie, and one of the worst parts of the movie, just because I will give credit that this movie seems for the most part well made in almost all